5. I'm going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure. The requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been complied with in accordance with the provisions of NJSA 10:4-4, publication in the Homeless Tribune, posting in the office of the clerk of the city of New Brunswick, and copies being sent to the board members. And the compliance is entered in the minutes of this meeting. Sure. Well, I'll Anthony Jones.
Here.
Ms. Manawara.
Here.
Cabbage.
Here.
And Reverend County. And Quan.
Okay. Old business?
There's a resolution for consideration by the board in connection with the matter last addressed at your March meeting, and basically it's been all the board members have it, and if it's agreeable in its form, there should be a motion made and seconded for the approval resolution, and if it's adopted, take care of the old business.
Has everyone had a chance to read the resolution? So you can accept or not accept?
Motion to
Motion to
approve.
accept.
To adopt the resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution.
A second? Second.
Roll call.
Roll call, all in favor?
Roll call. Anthony Jones.
Yes.
Vice Martin.
Yes.
Cabbage.
Yes.
And Reverend County.
Yes. Okay, so the motion is, the resolution is accepted,
Right.
been approved,
Adopted.
adopted. Signed. Today's 14.
It is 14.
See, that went all day. So you will do what is
Yeah,
necessary.
submit that to the clerk's office.
Okay. Any new business? No new business? Okay. So no new business, we'll point for discussion. I guess we'll open the floor for public comment. Yes, Mr.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Charles Cradaville. You know me. I'm the editor of the community newspaper, New Brunswick Today. I have some questions. First of all, can I see a copy of the agenda for today's meeting?
Sure, it's on too.
Thank you. Is there some reason that the resolution that you just adopted is not mentioned on this agenda at all?
Is there some reason?
Yes.
No.
Is it the ethics board's policy to put resolutions on its agenda?
I don't speak for the ethics board. This is the procedure that's been followed from this evening.
I'm sorry, so you said you don't speak for the ethics board? Should I get an answer from the ethics board then?
You're dealing with a procedural issue concerning the adoption. It's already been adopted.
Precisely, I'm asking why wasn't it advertised to the public
Doesn't
that
have
you
to
were
be.
considering this?
It
Okay,
doesn't have to be.
so this board's policy is to not advertise when it is prepared to address a matter.
I don't know if the board has a policy. I don't speak for the board's policy. If you'd like to submit a question about the board adopting policy, you were here the last meeting. I'd be very happy to answer any question that you have that's off the agenda.
Okay, and so at what point did the board decide to adopt this resolution?
At
Is
the
this-
last meeting, they accepted the report of the committee members, the subcommittee.
Really? There was a subcommittee on this matter being Mr.
You were present, Mr. Brown.
So this is a matter involving which person? Which person is the complaint about?
You were here when there was a report adopted at the last meeting. This resolution it concerns a complaint that you made against Elizabeth Carlisle.
Oh, okay. I assumed this was about something else. It was not said what this resolution is about. There was nothing said.
Well, the board members read it. They read it, they all approved it.
So in that case, has the board done anything about this letter that you received from Mr. Leonard T. Beer? It's dated March the 4th, and Mr. Beer states that it's come to his attention that he's omitted income from his financial disclosure forms. He admits to an ethics violation. He says, I am formally advising the New Brunswick Ethics Board of these omissions. I'm acknowledging that according to the guidelines that I was obligated to disclose this income. And then he says, I accept full responsibility for the failure to list, and I accept the jurisdiction of the New Brunswick Ethics Board, and as well as the board's right to assess a penalty or sanction for my failure to disclose my NJ PERS pension income. At the last meeting, I recall under new business, one of the ethics board members mentioned this letter and asked, well, isn't this new business? Shouldn't we address this? And Mr. Vignolo inappropriately told you, no, that's nothing. That's nothing that we can act on, nothing to act on. Well, I don't know what kind of an ethics board this is or how you conduct your investigations, but a signed confession from someone who violated the law that you are here to enforce, to me would be new business. That would be worthy of putting an item on your agenda and discussing it and appointing a subcommittee and investigating this. He admits that he made these omissions from 2008 to 2015. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like almost a decade. It's quite some time, and each year is another violation. Can you tell me, is the ethics board planning to do anything about this?
We're aware of the letter. The procedure is that there was no complaint filed against what he's done, so there will be no further action on the letter. We appreciate that he admitted and signed, admitted to his error, and he's apparently going to correct it. So there's no further action.
Okay, so there'll be no further investigation. This board will not investigate.
No.
Is it the board's policy that it won't undertake an investigation unless there's a complaint filed?
Yes.
So even if someone confesses, even if you're aware, crystal clear that there's an ethics violation going on, the ethics board will not independently investigate.
The board's not going to get into abstract policy. You've raised the issue of the letter, you've been told, you've been given a response. There's no complaint filed. Is there anything else that you'd like to cover?
So just to be
We're not going to
clear,
get into policy. What else? Is there anything else that you'd like to cover? That's on the agenda.
just for the good of the public, can you tell us, does this board investigate ethical matters, or does it wait until there's a complaint
Please
filed?
don't speak over me. We have a court reporter. She needs to take one of us down at a time. Okay? When I speak, please don't speak. I'll try not to speak over you. Okay? There's nothing on the agenda concerning what you're talking about. You've got a gratuitous response from the board chairman, and that's the end of it. Do you have any other issues you want to raise that are on the agenda? If not, as we were here last meeting, you can submit any questions you have that are not on the agenda to the board in writing. We'll give you all the consideration you want. Nothing has come in, for the record, by way of any additional questions from you, for the record. So you like talking at meetings, but apparently you don't like writing questions.
With all due respect, sir, I looked at the agenda. Are there any items on the agenda at all of substance? Or does it just say old business and new business?
It says old business and new business.
Okay.
And you were here last meeting, so you know what the old business was, and there's no new business.
Okay, so you stipulate that at the last meeting, one of the board members brought up
No,
that
you
this should
said
be...
that. I didn't stipulate anything.
Well, I'm asking you, you don't recall this being brought up at the last
I
meeting?
don't have a recollection of any board member speaking about the beer matter.
Okay.
I asked the question,
And
and the response was exactly as what you said.
okay, the response was that there's nothing worth acting on.
That's
I
not-
don't remember the exact response, but
To that
it was
effect.
something that we weren't going to be taking action on at this time.
Right, and I would humbly suggest that that is an example of bad advice from your attorney. This board exists to create public confidence that the city is doing all it can to make sure its employees and officers behave ethically. And when you have an example of someone who's admitting to a violation and the board decides not to take any action, and I want to applaud you for mentioning it at the meeting and putting it on the record that there was this letter, because otherwise the public would have had no way of knowing that this matter was even in any way within this sphere. And I think that the board, to inspire the confidence that the residents deserve to have in their city, should absolutely investigate what Mr. Beer has brought. With your permission, if I may approach and give you, this is Mr. Beer's 2016 financial disclosure form. I'm not sure if you've seen the 2015 or any other forms, but you'll note
I
that.
don't need one.
Okay, take it back. So in 2015, he left off the pension.
Yes.
If you wish to file a complaint, please file a complaint. We're not going to have a long discussion about this. He has admitted to his error. We accept that, and unless there's a complaint filed, we're not doing any further action.
Okay, well, if I may.
No, you can't. She's just said you're done talking, so go to another issue.
So I'm not allowed to speak publicly?
No, what you, excuse me, if I may, Madam Chairman. This is a complaint that may be filed before this board. You want to present evidence concerning a complaint that may be filed before it's filed to prejudice this board, and I'm going to direct the board not to take any information regarding a complaint that may eventually come before it's investigated. So anything that you want to present at this point is inappropriate. Don't present anything further.
Okay, this is twisted logic that you're hearing. What I will say is this board adopted a recommendation to the mayor and city council previously, that the mayor and city council should implement better training for its employees and officers so they don't keep making ethical violations. Can you tell me, please, what is the status of that? Has the mayor and council endorsed or supported this idea? When actually having better ethics training?
I believe that's been done. I know the notices that have gone out regarding what's required, follow up and et cetera, to make sure the forms are done. Other than that, I'm not sure that anything further needs to be done. And I think this letter from this person, Mr. Beer, is evidence of him, of training that's been given, because he admitted to what he's done. He recognized what he's done, and he admitted to it. So I think there's no...
I don't think it was, respectfully, pardon me, I don't think it was in response to any training that was done.
Well,
I think it was in response to a newspaper article
you don't know
that showcased that this was a violation. And, respectfully, the board is not inspiring confidence when you have clear-cut evidence of something and you're not acting on it.
You said that.
And what I would suggest is that Mr. Beer admits to years' worth of leaving off his pension from the form. He does not say those are the only omissions I made. He does not say that's the total extent of my violations. It is possible that there were other things omitted, and I would suggest you take a look at that 2016 form, and you'll notice that there are many things on the 2016 form that weren't on the 2015 form. And if this board were interested,
We're going to stop.
if this board were interested,
No, you're not
truly interested in policing ethical behavior and ethical violations, you would call Mr. Beer to a meeting here and ask him some questions about these items on his 2016 form, and why, and whether or not they belonged on other forms as well in these prior years where he's already admitted making
Thank you. Is there
omissions.
anything else you'd like to speak about besides Mr. Beer and the policy that you're bringing up?
I would like the ethics board to stand up and do the right thing.
Okay.
Please investigate this case, this clear-cut case, and please follow up on what the city's doing, because it's clearly not enough. There are a number of employees who filed insufficient FDS forms this year. If I have to complain about them and go through the whole process, we can, but I'm trying to think the big picture here. I'm trying to, lift the city up. We can do better. And right now I see only 2/3 of the members here. We have a 2/3 full board tonight. There's only 4 members here. We've had a lot of turnover on the board. And ultimately, keeping this a complaint-based system where you don't take any action unless there's a complaint is not what's best for the city. What's best for the city is for this board to be leaders and be vigilant and actually police the ethics of the city as you set out to do in your mission. So I would encourage you to live up to that mission, and please do the right thing with this case. Set an example and show that leaving off income from your FDS forms is not acceptable, that you have to fill out a complete, full form. Obviously, people still don't get it, and this board is responsible for enforcing that law. Please rise to the occasion, do the right thing, enforce the law. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments? move to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No,